Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Wish We Were Then. We are so excited to get to meet everybody. Hello, let me introduce myself. I'm Trey, and I have my co-host here.
And I'm Mark.
That's Mark, and we are going to take you guys back in time. Have you ever wondered what people lived like in the past? You watch a movie, and you go, when did this come out? And you go, oh, that year. What else was happening that year? And then, you think about Googling it and you say, that sounds like a lot of work. Well, let me tell you, it is a lot of work. That's why me and my esteemed colleague Mark have done the work for you.
Yeah, you go down rabbit holes.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Let me just tell you.
You could get lost. And that's so the easiest way to do it is to actually send ourselves back. So we wish so hard that we do get sent back into a year in the past. We research. We go down to the local library. We ask people on the street. We have a little hat with a little piece of paper in it and a note card and a pencil, and we walk up to people and we say, hey, sir, let me get the scoop. What's happening out there on the streets? And we do that for hours and hours and hours, and we come back to today, and we discuss. And so we went back to a doozy of a year this time around for our very first one. We decided to make it a very nice, a round year to go back to, like
It's not.
Well, I mean, the amount of years that we went back is like it makes sense. Let me just go ahead and set a little bit of a scene here. The world is bustling. It's crazy. It's exciting. A big decade is coming to a close, and an even more exciting decade is about to begin. It's not just the fact that we're ending a whole decade. We're ending a whole fucking millennium here, folks. This is a big, exciting. The information age is zooming and zapping, but it can also be a little scary out there. It's not just all bells and whistles. There's also big, scary church bells going off. Because what happens this year, at the end of it, a little thing we like to call Y2K. This year, we are going to party like it's 1999.
Oh, yeah.
A big year.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of the Y2K thing, I couldn't wrap my head around why so many people were freaking out. I guess it's just in hindsight, something about the computers wouldn't be able to transfer the twos and the zeros that's going to come with the year 2000 and not 1999. Why they thought that they wouldn't be able to do that, I don't know. But a lot of big companies went through a lot of processes.
A lot of money.
To basically, to safeguard it all, to do hard copies of a lot of most
rewrite
of everything.
A lot of their programming. There's a whole movie about it. I think that if you're not really familiar with the Y2K phenomenon or and all of that, it was a huge deal too. I mean, people were doomsday prepping. It was all over the news and stuff. When I was a young lad, I grew up in church a lot, and those types of people, let me tell you, they were concerned. They see something like that and they go, "This could be God coming for us." But if you want a good understanding of it, a good explanation, and to see actually how people were dealing with it at the time, you could watch Office Space, because that's the whole premise. His job in the movie is that he's going through, and basically they only wrote computers with 2 digits of code, so it would just be 92 for the year 1992. And so when it got up to 99, the next logical thing was just 00. And then for a computer, that equals no data. And so they were worried everything was going to crash. Mm-hmm. So instead of, so then they had to I guess, add in 2 digits beforehand and make it 2000,
Yeah.
And that's as far as what Ron Livingston described in the movie Office Space. So go watch that. And I'm pretty sure that's... I wouldn't know why Mike Judge would lie to us about the inner workings of it. He's a pretty smart guy.
And that did come out this year.
Yeah, it was very indicative of the time. I mean, it was such on everyone's mind that there was a whole last movie that Mike Judge made about it. Mike Judge, if you don't know, he's the guy who did Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill and stuff, and Idiocracy is a good movie.
Well, I mean, go watch that movie, and it's even the music that he's listening to in the car.
Oh, yeah. Isn't he? Yeah. Oh, I know. No, I'm thinking of Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster plays when they're when he's finally doing what he wants to at work. But yeah, no, I forgot when Dave Herman is driving in the car, then he like locks the door and like starts murmuring to himself when he sees a black guy walk past and says he's out of eyesight. He goes back to rapping. So funny.
I don't know. That movie is just like so on the nose. You have to go watch that movie, especially if you want to reminisce about 1999.
Yeah, for sure. It's very, very funny. There's so many good quotes in that movie, too. Here, it's not 2020 currently, but that was obviously a big 21 years in the future for someone in 1999. I saw a video about some professor at a college. I can't remember what college or what the guy's name was, unfortunately. But he had predictions about what the year 2020 was going to hold.
Okay.
And
from 1999.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he basically called the fact that we would be cashless. He said we're not going to use cash anymore. He said
it's definitely not. Most of the places you go to SeaWorld or whatever, and there's no cash allowed.
Yeah, I mean, and for so long, especially 2020 specifically, it's like you weren't allowed to use cash. You know. When he talked about buying things online, he was like, you're going to be able to buy stuff, and he kind of sort of was it seemed like he was trying to like kind of quell people's concerns with like it's not going to destroy brick and mortar businesses is sort of what he was thinking. Like he said, if I want a product for a functional reason, I'll look online and buy it. But if I'm buying something like a sweater, I'm going to want to try it on and go to the place, which
he's not wrong about.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people do online shopping for clothes. I prefer to see stuff in person, but I mean, I bought this shirt online. I buy a lot of stuff online.
I don't buy clothes online.
I do. I mean, I'll buy T-shirts and things that I'm not too concerned about how they're going to fit,
I think I've bought a few band shirts online. I've never really bought anything else.
Really, and it's like I'll have one website that I like, and it's like, oh, that place, and now I know what the size. Like I bought one, and it was too small, so now I know I only buy larges there or whatever, one of the funny things that he said is there's talk about movie tickets. Like it was so like this is a possibility. They might even do movie tickets. And it's like that seemed kind of like not that far fetched.
Fandango.
Like for 1999 even it was you could. I think movie phone was a thing in 1999. So it's like it's for him to be like even movie tickets.
But wasn't that that was just a call to find out the
time
information
stuff,
of the
but I don't know if you could buy tickets. You're right. I'm not sure.
I don't think you could.
I can't remember. I did
it
use
was
it a
like
couple
an
times.
automated thing that they would do.
Yeah,
It would just play.
And you would call and it would say, The
mo-
Matrix, rated R.
Yeah.
Available at 9:00 or whatever.
Yeah.
Then also the other big thing he said was banking. You'll be able to access your financial institution through the internet, through your cell phone, or you might sit at your couch at your television and access all your information. And it's like, I solely bank through my phone,
Yeah.
on the app and stuff. And I guess the way he kind of is describing the television thing, I feel like when you watch older movies, a lot of the times you'll see people like, there's a level of being able to do stuff on your TV, but it's like that all is on the phone, the way that people were thinking that you would go and like, oh, I can do all of my, on this big screen in my home. Like people would rather just have that on a phone in front of them. But
well, I think that it makes sense that that's where that technology would have led, because that was their like form of internet without having the internet. Things were on these like signals and radio waves and things like that were, so that's what their information was coming from. So that's what.
Yeah, they didn't have get to conceptualize a whole other like the idea of a smartphone.
Yeah, they're not going to be like the rotary thing on the wall. Like, what do you mean? Like,
yeah. And so when he said you can access through your cell phone, I'm thinking like how was he picturing how you would access through your cell phone? Maybe just calling or whatever, I guess, and like doing an automated call-in system, or maybe even like pressing the buttons. But
I don't know. Well, you said that he was going through. He said about the TVs.
Yeah, but he also said through your cell phone. So, but I mean, at the time, it was like it would have just been a call. So you would have just called and then like probably pressed buttons, I guess. I don't know. Like,
I mean, because they had
automated.
They had like. They were big, but they had cell phones. They weren't like the huge, big gray ones. Like
no, I mean, people actually in '99. I feel like people had phones that could fit in your pocket. You could take it with you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of different types of inventions like that, I just want to go and give a little tech thing here that I have. Is the Sega Dreamcast came out on September 9th, 1999 in North America. It came out about a year before in Japan, so it had been out officially. It had been released already, but in America, the Dreamcast came around 1999. Mark and I we were born about a month apart in 1992, so we were 7 years old at this point. Did you play the Dreamcast when you were a little 7-year-old boy? Maybe 8, 9, 10?
No, no, I did. I had a Nintendo 64,
I had a 64 and then a PlayStation.
and then my cousin, who I'd go to his house, had a GameCube.
Excuse me.
So I
yeah,
kinda
like
missed.
later the GameCube for sure.
So I kind of missed the
Dreamcast was very
era.
it was a very small like specific system where I feel like not most people didn't have it, but anyone who did was like it's the best system. And that's how it was. I had one friend who had the Dreamcast and he would always be like it's far superior. The graphical quality is just so much better than the Nintendo 64. And I mean it looked really cool, but it just was like, yeah, you don't have Mario on this, you know? Like they had just like a bunch of like very specific games. It was just games for them. I couldn't name you one at this point, but it's like, you don't have Tomb Raider? Everyone wants to play Tomb Raider, motherfucker. Your Dreamcast can't play Tomb Raider, then who cares? You know?
Yeah. Well, what do they make now though?
Sonic was the big one because Sega, yeah, their big thing was Sonic. So,
Oh yeah.
And so now they make movies.
I was gonna say, but do they don't make like game systems? Sega doesn't make.
No, I don't think so. I think they kind of just there was like the Sega Genesis, the Sega Dreamcast, the Saturn. I think all those were like before this too. So I don't know that they went on after the Dreamcast. I don't want to say.
I got some interesting stuff here.
Yeah, let's hear something.
Actually, the first day of the year, January 1st, the euro came into existence.
That feels like a euro. I don't know. I guess 25 years old. It feels like it would have been older than that.
I know. Yeah, but it came up so quickly. Like automatically, it was almost like the second. It was the second highest used currency.
Wow.
Behind the U.S. dollar.
Damn, that's
yeah,
crazy.
and it happened really quick.
That's interesting.
But
yeah,
it's
like
just because so many of the countries use it.
Yeah,
It was
it was
unified under the UN.
It was a very unifying currency, and they did its damn job. Mm-hmm. And now, and like I said, it's so commonplace that it feels like it's just been around for forever. And it's crazy to think that one of the most used currencies there is very, very young. I mean, it's like because you picture the only other kind of currency that we've seen just sort of pop up is like cryptocurrency, and like maybe this is gonna be a thing, probably not. It's not like really that big of a deal, but like. The euro, I mean, that's a whole ass, just new version of spending money, Pretty cool.
For a lot of countries, too.
Yeah, it was a big, I mean, it still is a huge thing. I got a couple of just, while we're on the subject of sort of politic adjacent things, one of my favorite things that happened this year is down there in Minnesota, they got themselves a new governor. Oh, yeah. He doesn't have time to bleed, but he's got time to lead. Jesse Ventura, Jesse the Body Ventura, former professional wrestler, now professional governor of those Minnesotans. They made the right choice, folks. That's just so much. Anytime there's a funny person becomes a politician, I like it. And this
so good.
This started,
that was good.
Thank you. This started the trend of electing people who had been in the Predator movie into office. Arnold Schwarzenegger would come later.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, can we get Carl Weathers to be the governor of Maine or something like that?
But he ran in like a third party.
Yeah, I know. He's like part of the Green Party, I want to say.
Not the Green Party.
He's kind of a...
Timeless Tony, can you look that up for us?
What political party does Jesse Ventura align with? Hey, we've mentioned now for the second time, Timeless Tony. That's he's our pal here. He kind of he exists in and out of time. You can dip back to the past and look at. He's gonna run over to the Capitol in Minnesota and see. Hey Jesse, what do you align with?
Says here in Minnesota in 1998, the Reform Party of Minnesota.
The Reform Party.
Reform.
He later joined the Independence Party of Minnesota.
Independent reform and then independence.
He won as a Reform Party.
You got to get some of that reform, Daddy. Yeah. Oh, brother, where art thou? We were just talking about that movie before the recording, so it's funny that comes up right then. Yeah, he's an interesting fellow. I mean, I'm sure he was, that might have been why he got elected. He's like, we got to be prepared for Y2K, folks. It's coming and it's coming hard.
Oh,
He's got like a whole compound and stuff out in like the
well, he would
desert
go.
now
He
or
would
something.
go around and he would like find like military bases and like U.S. government land, and he would like interview the people that were there. Like, why are you guys here? And there'd be like fences with the barbed wire like turned in to keep people
Something in, yeah.
And then there would be like playgrounds and like a school, a gymnasium, and like farmland and housing. Yeah, he would go through that. I don't know why that's how I got introduced to
Jesse Ventura.
to Jesse Ventura, but that's how I got introduced. I was like watching his YouTube of like all this like conspiracy stuff about the government just like waiting to, I don't know, like that was his idea that I was just gonna kill everybody.
Yeah, I know. He's
crazy.
he's got a lot of interesting ideas.
So in 1999, Andrew Goldstein pushed Kendra Webdale off of a subway platform in New York and in front of a oncoming train and killed her.
Damn.
And then he sat against the back wall and waited for the NYPD to come and arrest him.
Okay.
And then, so that being said, he is a psychopath and he pled insanity. And after that, his family went to advocate for a person who is mentally unstable to not get, and if they meet the certain standards, to not get the same penalty for their actions. And it's called Kendra's Law.
Okay, yeah, we got a picture of him here.
And he was.
He does look like
in
he's, a troubled man.
47 states ended up taking on Kendra's Law.
I've heard of Kendra's Law.
Mm-hmm. That's it. It's the ability to plead insanity.
Okay, and obviously, yeah, it's something I've seen in a million movies and TV shows since then, I guess, huh?
Yeah, and you know what? It seems like that would have been a thing before.
Yeah.
Especially since they were like putting like every other person with ADHD in insane asylums. It
Right.
seemed like, so it seems like that would have been like, okay, well, this person's clearly not there. It doesn't seem like somebody's family should have had to advocate for that. It seemed like it would have kind of just came up in the course of like our judicial system.
Maybe it's something that was just sort of a case by case basis, and like typically speaking, that was the way that it would be handled, but like there wasn't a protocol in place. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Another just bummer of a story. We'll get it out of the way. On one of the most glorious days of the year, on 4/20, the Columbine massacre occurred.
Yeah.
Just a huge, stain upon our society. One of the first big school shootings that occurred. I feel like they've happened. But
Killed 12 students and one teacher and injured 21 others. Very strategic. They had been planning it for a year prior. So it seemed like it, could have been prevented.
Right, yeah.
People's mental
there
health.
There had been something that somebody could have seen to
People's
prevent that.
Yeah, well, speaking of people's mental health, from
Exactly,
for the
yeah.
topic before that, have come a come way in those 25
take it more
years.
seriously.
I mean, I just think that even like growing up, if you were going to see a shrink or whatever they called it, it's like it was frowned upon, but now it's like good for you. Like that's really good.
Yeah,
that
for
you're
sure.
doing-
I mean, that's
that
very
you're doing
recent,
the
too.
work. Yeah, definitely within the past 25 years.
That's for sure. Here's another news story. I was going to bring this up a moment ago because it had ties to wrestling, but I kind of thought I could segue into some more sports stories because I have one other sports thing after this. The professional wrestler Owen Hart died on May 23rd in Kansas City, Missouri. He's brother of Bret Hart. They're a big family in wrestling, and he was coming down up off of like the roof was supposed to rappel down, and then his like quick release. He was supposed to come down like 10 feet above the ring, and then a quick release was going to let go of him, and he's going to come down onto the floor. But the quick release let go like 75 feet up above the ring, and so he just came straight down. And I think he ended up dying in the ambulance ride. So Another big bummer of a story, obviously. This was a big thing. I was super into wrestling as a kid. So, like, this was something that was like, oh, shoot, like, was a part of my world.
Yeah, definitely didn't watch it because my parents were not paying for
the pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view. I got one more.
Oh, I got one other sports story. Just a really quick.
Well, it's not transferring to sports yet because I got a couple. But
Okay.
one more political and, like, serious thing before we get into the good stuff. Clinton's impeachment trial started. He had 2 charges. The first was for harassment from Paula Jones, apparently an Arkansas police officer, like told her that she was going to be interviewed or something by him, and he ended up exposing himself to her. And the second one was perjury of obstruction of justice. But he was acquitted on both charges, 45 to 50 on the first one and 50-50 on the second one to acquit.
Damn, close.
Yeah.
Skin of his teeth. I barely made it out of there. That's crazy. He was a very a president just steeped in controversy.
Yeah.
Always shit going on with him. He was cool though. He played that saxophone. I'll tell you that.
And I mean, to be honest, he cut a lot of military spending. He saved and people money, like because he allowed like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and gave a bunch of people loans, which was a good thing at the time.
He was a good president. I think.
Ended up biting us in the ass later in 2008 when people couldn't pay those loans anymore. But
Right. But
it worked well in the 90s. We had a good economy for sure.
Yeah, no, it was a strong time. You got other news?
No, let's get into fun stuff.
Okay, yeah, let's get on. Here's my fun sports story. Totally radical out there on the half pipes this evening in X Games number 5 on June 27th. Tony Hawk landed the first ever 900 on a skateboard. You remember that?
Yeah.
That was exciting
Epic.
as fuck.
Epic.
It was fun because I mean I've always been into skateboarding, but it was just everybody loved skateboarding, and everyone watched the X Games. It's crazy to think that was only the 5th X Games.
Yeah.
It's like now it's just feels like it's been on for forever, but it was still a new thing, and yeah, that was just the coolest thing in the world. I mean I've seen that clip so many times, but it's
Oh my
so
gosh,
fucking
yeah.
sick, And it's cool too that it was Tony Hawk because like he's obviously the most famous skateboarder, but for him to also be the one who did that, like it wasn't Danny Way or Bob Burnquist or something, like it was the guy who was on the biggest guy around, and so it's cool that he's the one who did it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I just feel like it kind of goes hand in hand with him,
popularity,
him particularly, because he was mostly a vert skater.
Oh,
he
yeah.
did really well throughout his very, very young career.
I think he started like 14, I want to say.
And being mentored by one of the Godfathers.
Yeah, Stacy Peralta was with the Bones Brigade. Yeah.
Yeah, being mentored by the Godfather, arguably. Besides, Jay Adams and Alva.
Yeah, it is such a cool culmination and the fact that he kept going strong and I mean the fact that he's still, you look at his clips, I still follow him on Instagram and
Dude,
stuff, and
it's still
super
like
cool,
he does crazy stuff, and it's like I can't believe he's still doing that.
Yeah,
like,
he's still really sick.
Throwing it up on giant half pipes. If you're listening to this, Tony Hawk, you're a badass. I love you.
You got some more fun stuff?
Yeah, the Women's World Cup was USA versus China. So it was, always a big rivalry.
For sure.
Let's put it in the sports terms.
The World Cup of what?
Soccer.
Soccer,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah, Women's Soccer World Cup. Sorry.
I figured, but
It went to shootouts after double overtime.
Cool.
So it came down to the wire, and then it came down till pretty much I think it was the very last goal.
That's exciting.
It was 5-4, and Brandy Chaston she tore her shirt off right when she made the goal.
Oh,
So and like you see like the
I've
picture,
seen
she like
that.
throws
Yeah,
her hands
yeah.
up, like showing like a sports bra, and you can't see
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But
I've
it's
seen that.
still like controversial.
Yes,
you know. So
yeah.
that's one of the big reasons why that's remembered.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is like, I mean, you know, it's a cool match and everything. People don't really tend to give that much of a care about women's sports. So
Brandy Chastain.
it's got to take someone
is her
taking
name.
their shirt off to propel it into the public eye, I feel like. Because, like, that sounds like a historic game, and yeah, that probably, I don't think that we would be mentioning it probably. You know, not to say that we wouldn't care or whatever, but it's just like, I don't know that the world would be talking about it and be like, hey, look at this sports game. You know what I mean?
I only am a little biased because I watched my sister play soccer like all the way through high school.
But I mean, I've never heard of another women's soccer game or results from it, you know? Same way that, like, no one really cared about WNBA stuff until Caitlin Clark, you know? I mean, people knew about Lisa Leslie, but, you know.
I would definitely argue that women's soccer is
Bigger.
more watched, brings in more revenue, and personally, I like it better.
I mean,
women.
sure. I'm telling you from the outside, I've never heard anything about. I mean, I guess I knew Mia Hamm. Like those, they were both big when we were a kid. Mia Hamm and Lisa Leslie. Like they were both kind of popular. But then after them, like I don't really feel like people talked about either of those sports for a long time until now. Caitlin Clark. So
Yeah.
I guess it's also really it's been like maybe even at the time it was more popular, but I feel like it's been kind of quiet in terms of like, you know, the public paying attention to it. Like I said, no one cared about the WNBA until a couple seasons ago, you know?
Wilt Chamberlain died on a sports note.
Yeah, October 12th. That's a bummer.
Dude, he was the man, though.
Yeah.
Only person to score 100 points in a game.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's crazy especially when you watch old clips and stuff of him and just like marching around the court, just doing whatever the fuck he wants, just being better than everyone else around him.
And he was ginormous.
Yeah.
Is the Stilts or something like that?
Wilt the Stilt.
Wilt the Stilt. That was his nickname.
Yeah, and then he's famous for betting just a crazy amount. I don't remember what it is now, but that he slept with just
It says 20,000.
thank you. Yes, okay, I was gonna look at what his claim
Yeah.
was. Who knows? But you know,
That's what he claimed from what he would mark off in his like journal every day.
who knows, man? That's crazy. Let's see. You know, some fun stuff that came out this year I wanted to bring up. Big Mouth Billy Bass. That was so huge when we were a kid. Don't worry. Be happy.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fake fish that you put on your wall. It looks like someone hung up a trophy fish. And then when you walk by, his head pops up off the wall and he starts singing "Don't Worry, Be Happy" by Bobby Darin. And I knew it was like something that was just inexplicably in like so many garages as a kid. I would see that and be like, oh, you have a Big Mouth Billy Bass.
I feel like it was just like a Christmas present for
Oh
dads.
yeah, probably.
You know,
they
like
hung it up in the garage where they work and stuff. And it was always up on a high enough because I remember too it being like in a couple of my friends' dads' garages and it being like high enough up that you wouldn't ever trigger it, but if anyone wanted to see, he could reach up and wave his hand in front of it. But it's like I'm not making that stupid fucking thing go off every time I want a beer, you know?
Yeah.
They're very funny. But the number one toy was the Furby. Speaking of annoying electronic gifts, you remember the Furby?
Yes.
I mean, they kind of popped back up. I feel like in recent years. They had these little weird gremlin looking things that have like a beak and big eyes, and they would just talk at you.
Yes,
in a
they
weird
looked like
voice.
the Mirquai, like the
Mogwai, yeah.
Mogwai, yeah, the version before they
Yeah,
became
yeah.
the Gremlins. It's exactly what they looked like.
Yeah, and they would just be
So
like
creepy.
"Bah, bah, bah." I don't remember what they'd say, but man, they would never shut up. They were so annoying. I wanted one so bad, and then one of my friends had a bunch of them, and he was like, "They're not cool." And I went over and I was like, "Oh, these do suck."
My sister had one. I remember her having at least one. Didn't it like need stuff? Like, didn't you have to like take care of it?
I think you had to like play with it, otherwise it would get sad and start crying and like want your attention and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Tamagotchi, which was like a little video game version of something like that. But yeah, that was the number one toy of the year. So that was the hot item, and that was, that's something you don't
And it was
see that much anymore.
terrifying.
That a toy is popular. It's been a long time since there's been like a run on a fucking grocery store because they're out of some physical toy. You know, kids don't want physical toys anymore. They just like things online, obviously, and they like watching YouTube videos. But back then it was still like, what do you mean you're out of Furbies? You know what I mean?
Well, kids watch other kids play with toys.
Yeah, that's true.
On
All those
YouTube.
unboxings and stuff like that.
Which is unboxing makes more sense than watching them play with the toy.
Yeah, I mean, but people like watching Twitch and stuff, so
I mean, at least that's like,
the person's talking and stuff.
I mean, not even that, but there's like action and shooting and like.
Yeah, I don't know.
usually-
It's like
like,
a hard
do you think-
bit of psychology to try to work out.
Here's a good question. How many people watch other people play The Sims?
Ooh, that is a good question. That honestly, that seems like something a really actually crazy person would do. Would just sit there and watch the screen as someone else is pretending to live a life. That's a good idea. That's actually a pretty funny idea for a horror movie or something. Here's another fun little item, and I brought in something for you guys. This is something that, speaking of the kids and what all the kids wanted to get their hands on, the new snack that came out in 1999. I got it right here for you guys. Talkies.
Talkies.
All right, they're very loud, but I thought we could all just have a talkie.
Yeah, the worst audio snack.
Not just a chip, but the hardest chip there is. If you're not familiar with Takis, I don't know how popular they are in other parts of the country. We're in California, so, Mexican flavors and Mexican-style snacks are much bigger here than they are in other places. But if you're not familiar, Takis are little rolled-up corn chips just doused in red dye number 40, and they're very hot and spicy. I love Takis. I really shouldn't be eating too many of them because they don't do great to my body, but I love them when they're just up top in the mouth. The second they go into my body, I'm happy, and then after that, I don't like it.
I don't know. I've never been a fan of.
I'm gonna have one more.
I really like hot, food, but I've never been a fan of hot chips. I
guess I could
Flamin'
see that.
Hot Cheetos and stuff.
Yeah.
I do kind of like the lime ones, but
The
it's
lime ones
because-
are good.
because they're not
Can I have a paper towel?
super hot.
Yeah, they're that like I said, that flavor very prevalent around here. So I don't know how much, or maybe that's just sort of like the token hot chip that people have in other states and stuff. Like they probably don't have a bunch of different types of options, or maybe they do. I don't know. I also like the Doritos, like the Flamin' Hot nacho ones, or not Flamin' Hot, but they do make Flamin' Hot Doritos. But like the spicier nacho is what they're called.
I like
Those are good.
I like the Verde Doritos.
Ooh, those are delish. Very good. Here's a couple other things that came out in the food sort of line. Dasani, everyone's least favorite water.
That came out this year.
1999.
That's so weird.
You feel like it's older or younger?
I feel like it's older to answer your question, but I think it's weird how people can start a water company.
That's something that
Like-
bottled water didn't used to be a thing.
But it makes sense that there was people bottling water. It doesn't make sense that there would be like
A new brand.
a new brand. Like,
Yeah.
where do you get? Like, you have to have a really good source. You have to have the marketing, the backing.
Well, it was
like,
Dasani's Coca-Cola.
oh, so they
So
just.
I
so
think
they
that
were
everyone else already had, like there were
so they
water
were-
bottle companies started up, and then Coke was like, oh, we got to get in on this.
Yeah, they needed to capitalize on the
Yeah.
water bottle company.
And I know that it really, I think that's kind of like the consensus, right? People don't like Dasani. It's got a bit of a weird taste, I feel like. It feels like thick.
It seems like if Coke was gonna make water.
It's like they removed the Coca-Cola part of Coke. And there's like, this is what's left. Like water shouldn't be sticky. What the fuck's going on with the Dasani? It shouldn't need a spoon to get the rest of the water out.
Every
and
time
then
I
the
close
other-
the cap, there's like a film on it. I don't know.
It gets crusty and hard to open the second time. Here's some other drinkables, though. These are much more preferred in my household. Hendrick's Gin and Bullet Bourbon. Both debuted 1999. Making cocktails with those. Mark's a bartender.
Yeah, all the time.
Hendrick's is really popular, I feel like.
Yeah, it is. It's a cucumber gin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they use like, I'm not sure in what part of the process that they use it, but it's like a cucumber based. I could be wrong, but that's from what I know about it. Because I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of other pretentious bartenders that are gonna fact check me on that.
A bunch of juniper-nosed assholes coming around here telling you what's right and wrong. That's actually one of the ones I feel like, if you're going for a gin cocktail, like, there's like Bombay or Tanqueray or whatever. But like, I feel like Hendrix is probably the one I go with just because I'm like, I don't want to use one of the ones that I don't drink gin enough to be knowledgeable of what I like or don't like. I just know that those can be a little too floral, and Hendrix sort of feels to be a little bit chiller.
I feel like it's.
But maybe not.
I think it's sweeter, to be honest. It's probably not as juniper like floral.
The juniper gets to me.
But yeah, I think it's a little sweeter. I like dry gins, so I would rather drink like a Tanqueray.
Yeah.
I like the juniper. I like the earthiness of it. The first time I had gin, I had Hendrix. I worked at an Irish bar called the Shamrock. Shout out to the Shamrock. I worked with an Irish bartender, and he would scream and yell for Hendrix. And I never understood it. I was 20. And then when I turned 21, he stopped working there, and I asked one of the bartenders I worked with, and I asked him, he was like, well, you're 21, let's do a shot. And I was like, all right, I want a shot of Hendrix. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, like Sean's always yelling for it and being all crazy about it. Like, I want to try it. And he's like, all right, I'll do a shot of Hendrix with you. So I did it, and I really loved it. I really liked the gin. And I did drink plenty before I was 21, mostly rum or whiskey. So having, I think, a gin that wasn't vodka, having like a light spirit like that is something that I liked.
Yeah, gin's it's like a good break from, like, if I get a martini, I go with gin, Otherwise, it's just like weird water.
All right.
I think I'm good on the first portion of stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to start getting into the entertainment portion of the evening.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start off with some television here. What were the people watching on TV? The number one show in the country. It took the top 3 slots of this show. That's pretty impressive. Tuesday, Thursday, and Sundays, the slot for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh, damn.
Yep, number one show, 1999. People were crazy about that show. Everyone loved it. It was exciting TV. And I mean, it really is exciting. Like, that ushered in a new era of, like, because game shows before that were just very sterile and, okay, let's go ahead and turn that around and see if you won the prize.
Yeah.
And he's screaming the whole time. Can you believe it? Let's use a lifeline. And then, like, the lights come
and
up.
the lights, yeah, and everything, yeah.
It's exciting. I remember watching it and being, because it was so hyped up. And
it was like it was suspenseful.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And it's funny that they're just answering questions. You're like, fuck, Is she going to call her dad? Or you call your dad, you bitch? She's a nice lady. This I shouldn't have called her a bitch. This fictional person. Some other big shows that had come out in debut in 1999. The Sopranos.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big boy. Batman Beyond. I loved that show. Family Guy, Futurama, and SpongeBob in the cartoon world. Huge.
Yes.
Still going on. The Daily Show, The Man Show, Good Eats, WWE SmackDown, Blind Date. You remember that one? That was a cool show.
Oh, yeah.
Law & Order SVU, West Wings, Freaks and Geeks, House Hunters, Courage the Cowardly Dog. I mean, there's some good stuff back then. Ed, Edd and Eddy. I don't know if I mentioned that one. Yeah, a lot of. I mean, all those shows. I actually have watched almost every one of the shows I just mentioned within the last couple of years. These 25-year-old shows I've put on just for nostalgia's sake, or every Halloween I'll watch old cartoons that were on back then and be like, "What's the Rocket Power Halloween special?" or whatever.
I mean, I've watched quite a few of those. I wouldn't say all of them, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, I something I do every year is I'll watch some old cartoon specials. So I've seen probably all of these that I mentioned. TV, the other thing, that people do besides televised stuff is they listen to things, don't they? What do they listen to? They listen to music, obviously, where I was going with that. A big fun thing, a big fun place you can still go to hear some music, Coachella. First ever Coachella happened October 9th through the 10th of 1999.
And the worst
Woodstock. Let me just say, the headliners at Coachella were Beck, Tool, and Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, damn.
It's cool.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. The worst. So Coachella, which is, the highlight of the music scene for decades afterwards, but the biggest stain on the festival circuit happened this year. Mark, you want to say that one?
Yeah, the worst Woodstock ever.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them. This is one that they put on, and it was overpriced. There was no shade. There was nowhere to sit. There was lack of water. Like they didn't have anything set for that. So doing it basically just took a couple of days for people to absolutely burn the place to the ground.
Oh yeah, I mean there was people got R-worded, as people say now. Like there were that's not one of the two meanings, I guess. And people got there were thefts and just it was just pretty bad. And it was like the opposite of what Woodstock was supposed to represent.
Yeah, they were literally tearing it down. I'm pretty sure it was Red Hot Chili Peppers did a cover of Jimi Hendrix Fire.
And
that's what started them burning it.
Animals. People really just fucked that up. It could have been a nice thing. And it's just chill out. Damn, right? What the hell, man? Well, let's get into what we like to do here around these parts is we're going to look at the top 5 songs on the Billboard charts, go down 5 to 1, and dissect these songs to get a real feel of these were the number 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 songs on the Billboard charts for the year. So you did hear this shit everywhere. This is the guarantee of that. So let's start off at, you want to hit us off with number 5?
Yeah, Britney Spears and Baby One More Time. And the music video stands out to me because I was 7 years old when this came out.
I do remember the video. I mean, it's obviously it's an iconic video anyway, but yeah, this was a very important video for my upbringing, I feel like. It's this song is a fucking banger, This was the debut single from her debut studio album. So, this is just her coming out of the gate with a bang and just introducing herself to the world and, just hey, sorry, future icon here, Yeah. It is a great song. In 2011, it was voted by Billboard to be the best music video of the 1990s. I mean, it's like I said, we already said it's iconic as hell. I mean, this song, obviously this isn't even one that people need to be looking up to be oh, what's that one?
Yeah.
I wonder how much.
Yeah, no, people
don't know Britney Spears. That can't be a thing, right?
Even if you don't know her music, if you don't know her from her music or by her music, then you know who she is still.
Yeah, some stuff's happened between then and now. Number 4, this is Heartbreak Hotel, Whitney Houston featuring Faith Evans and Kelly Price. Not a Heartbreak Hotel cover of Elvis Presley, as one might believe by the name. Happens to be a different hotel, same name. This one, as soon as I heard it, I was like, damn, this is not what I would have pictured from a Whitney Houston song. It feels so much, fresher and younger than I would have expected.
Yeah.
It was originally written for TLC, and they rejected it. This was on the 4th album for Whitney Houston, which also feels like she had been around for so long, it's weird that it was only her 4th album, In 1999, she'd been around for a long time. You'd think this should be her 10th or 12th album or something like that. Seems like she didn't come out with a ton of music constantly.
But the stuff that she came out with,
I mean, it goes.
Were bangers.
The song received 2 nominations at the 2000 Grammy Awards, Best R&B Song and Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal. And the video was nominated for the Best R&B Video at the 99 MTV Music Video Awards. So the song, saw some critical heat. It's not really one that you hear too much now. I don't think it's one that really carried over that well.
No, it was one that, I didn't even know it off the top of my head.
And when you look at the other top 5, especially songs, it's like they're all really known songs. That one is kind of an outlier because sometimes there'll be like a couple peppered in there that you're like, oh, I don't recognize, number 2 sometimes or whatever. But to see, the rest of them are all pretty solid. You know them. Number 3, you want to go with that one?
Angel of Mine by Monica.
This was off her second album, The Boy Is Mine, and it's a cover of a British R&B group. Their name was Eternal, and it was off their greatest hits album. They slightly changed the lyrics a little bit. I did listen to both versions. I don't feel like there weren't any real glaring differences,
Yeah.
But I like hers better. Big song. She was really, really huge in the 90s. It's crazy how young she was, too, when she was making all of her music. She was like a teenager. And
I feel like that was kind of a thing, like, for a while.
teens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
know.
in a weird way where it was like kind of not just like a gimmicky thing, but it was like weirdly accepted. Yeah, we got Britney Spears and Monica, and so it was just like people enjoyed listening to kids' music, weirdly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but how old was Britney Spears at this time? I mean, she was probably still in her teens, but
I think she was
like
18.
Yeah, probably in her late teens.
So yeah, but she still was, I mean, sorry, if you're 18, you're still kind of a kid,
Yeah.
All right, number 2, we got No Scrubs by TLC. This is my personal favorite on the top 5. This is the first time Chili sang lead on a single, and it was their third number 1. I mean, TLC was just, they were the freaking queens of the 90s.
Yeah.
They were always all over the top of the charts. And I thought that was interesting that they passed on that Whitney Houston song. And they, this song instead. This one won the best R&B performance by a duo or group with vocal and best R&B song at the 42nd Annual Grammy Awards. So the awards that Heartbreak Hotel was up for lost out to this song.
Damn.
So, they made the right choice passing up, I guess, on that one and doing this one instead. Or I don't know if it was an instead situation. Maybe they could have just done both. It always interests me when people pass on a song, I find that, like, why not just record it, and then if you don't like it, don't use it? I guess you have to pay for it.
I would say, yeah, maybe it's just money involved, and if you're not invested in it, like,
Yeah, it's probably
emotionally,
seems kind of pretty
you know what I mean?
obvious.
If it's like, this doesn't speak to me, like, as an artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but something like that, you go like, oh, damn, they made it to the Grammys, and it was the number, we could have had the number 2 and the number 4 slot, but instead we just have 2.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know how much they're kicking themselves on the way to the bank that they had. Okay, and to finish off, we're going to number 1 on the charts for the year 1999. That song is Believe by Cher. Talking about icons,
Yeah.
I mean, Cher is one of the greatest.
And to come back after, like,
I mean, she'd been in the game
So-
for like 30 years at that point.
no, I know, but like to be able to still hold that spot. I
Exactly.
Guess is
So,
what
yeah,
I'm
no,
saying.
yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, she's been around for 30. She's been in the game for so long to come back and still. And it's not even just sort of like Cher came back and did a song. It's like, nope, she's just I'm the queen again.
Yep.
That song fucking rips. It. My mom was such a huge Cher fan. I think all moms are.
I think moms of our era are.
Yeah, well, I mean, they
Yeah.
grew up listening to her, and then to just have it be like, oh, fuck, Cher, like,
Yeah.
awesome. This song makes me think of, vacuuming the house, because it would just be playing on the CD player. So when I was talking about Whitney Houston, she'd been around for a long time. It's only her 4th album. This was the 22nd studio album from Cher.
Yeah.
So she was in that studio churning out music. This was more of a departure for her. This is, a dance thing. And the auto-tune is super noteworthy on this song.
Yeah, the first time anybody ever used it like that.
Yeah, because, there's a lot of interesting information about this. There's like a Netflix series that goes into different types of facets of music, and they talk about the auto-tune and sort of T-Pain and everything, and how, he heard this song and was trying to figure out what the effect that was used on it was, and just the lengths that he went to figure it out. Because basically, people had been using it and just sort of fine-tuning a little bit, and then on this song, they just decided to rank it, just go, brick, and so that's all, you can hear it, as she's singing. Instead of it just being correcting things, it's like an actual effect that comes on. The producer had said it was a microphone into a vocoder, basically just, came up with something because they didn't want the public to know that there's a thing out there that we can make people sound better. They were trying to hide
Yeah.
auto-tune. Mm-hmm. And then T-Pain had to go through and figure it all out. And he went, I mean, he went through like just hundreds of CDs of plugins and would just go through thousands of plugins and figure out and just listen to each of them until he figured out where it was, and then he finally found it. It's a pretty cool story. And then, for better or worse, I mean, it did make music super annoying for a long time.
Yeah, I did.
Which is
Still-
crazy too,
it still
he
does.
because he can sing so well too. And so it's funny that the guy who got
Yeah.
popular and hated for doing this just had a good voice the whole time.
Yeah.
He had to do that to get himself on the map.
Yeah, he's a really good vocalist.
That's the top 5. Got some other. There's like a lot of cool stuff that was on the top 100, and just off the top of the list here, just to say 2 albums that came out this year that were huge at the time and remain big in my life. Enema of the State by Blink-182 and the Slim Shady LP by Eminem.
Yep.
Those 2 were just so big on the playground, dude.
Oh, everywhere on MTV and everything too. Watching,
Yeah.
like the Slim Shady.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember so much just hearing the kids singing, say it ain't so, I wanna go.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was annoying actually.
Yeah, or this like the I'm Slim Shady, yes, I'm the real Shady. Like that shit was so huge, man. Everybody at school was singing that, and those were 2 things too that I was like, I'm definitely not allowed. I wouldn't be allowed to ask to purchase those things, so I had to just glean all my information from my friends and going over to
The
friends who like you'd go over to their house and their dad was like watching Halloween or whatever in the living room. You're like, Dad just watches Halloween. That's so cool. I'm not allowed.
my sisters listened to it, I guess.
Yeah,
That's kinda I had older sisters.
Yeah, my older sister's 3 years older than me, but she also wasn't really into that kind of stuff. So,
Well, speaking of annoying music, Ricky Martin released his "Livin' La Vida Loca" after he left Menudo.
yes, yeah, he was already a big star.
But that like set him apart
for sure. Yeah,
Like,
definitely. It's interesting that there was him and Enrique were both at the same time. Bailamos.
Mm-hmm.
That was another. Those both were huge, and at the time, it's funny. It's going to sound racist, but I had a hard time telling them apart. just let everyone know I'm Mexican, and I couldn't. I'm half Mexican. That was the other half of me couldn't figure it out. No, I mean obviously I know the difference between them, but it was just like, wait, which one sings which song? And then one of them would be on TV and it'd be like, Ricky Martin. I'm like, is he Bailamos or is he? But so it's just cool that they had multiple Latin stars, and then at the time like Shakira came over and J-Lo was popping up and stuff. Like the Latin explosion was big at the time.
Yeah.
On the charts, here's a couple that are just like kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. You got Genie in the Bottle by Christina Aguilera. If You Had My Love, Jennifer Lopez. I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. All Star by Smash Mouth. Smooth by Santana. Bills, Bills, Bills by Destiny's Child. Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry. Lenny Kravitz with Fly Away. I mean, this shit just is like, I can just picture walking around hearing that stuff,
Yeah.
And a lot of this stuff I still will pop on,
Yeah.
Scar Tissue by Red Hot Chili Peppers. Wild Wild West by Notorious Slapper Will Smith.
Notorious. Yes.
2 that I thought were pretty funny that they were on the top 100 are Summer Girls by LFO and Steal My Sunshine by LEN. 2 L-based acronym bands with funny-ass songs about summertime. Good songs, though. It was a fun year, super fun year for music.
Well, now that we're done with our music portion, let's get into what was people were going on and looking at on the cinema.
Yeah, they're driving down the road listening to their radio. They're going to the movie theater. In droves, people are going to see. The number 1 movie in the country was Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Came out on May 19th. This had a $115 million budget and made about $1,046 million altogether. That's quite a bit of money.
It's so crazy.
People were excited. It was 16 years since the last Star Wars had come out. The last trilogy had wrapped up pretty sweetly, and so I don't think people were necessarily waiting for a new Star Wars movie. But when it came out, everyone was excited as fuck. I mean, you watch.
Yeah.
Go online and watch videos of it. Like,
Oh yeah, people are like lightsaber fighting in the movie theater.
Yeah, but the lines around the block to get in to see the movie, it was crazy, just crazy crowds. You think people were going to see the Pope or something, man? It was insane. It was a huge deal to everybody,
Yeah,
I mean, even
it
if you're
was.
not that into Star Wars, it still is like, oh, they're doing Star Wars. Like Star Wars is a very rare thing. For something to be that huge in our culture, it's not that often that you have things that just everybody cares about and knows about. It's
Yeah.
like Harry Potter. I mean, I don't know. There's a handful of times that something like that, even as Marvel movies recently, but
Yeah, that's the most recent one for sure. Everyone cried when Tony Stark died.
yeah, it's when Tony Stoney,
Yeah.
but the thing that Star Wars is a little more special is there's only 3 movies and they were in the 70s. It's not like there was a franchise of all these things like the Harry Potter, and it's a bunch of books, and then it's a bunch of movies, and and a bunch of movies. And Marvel's like 100 years of comic books or whatever, and then they make them into a trillion different movies with the biggest stars in the world. This was just some random ass series of movies with some no name people in it. Pretty cool. I mean, not
yeah,
no-name
I guess
people.
they
there were
started,
some famous
but
British actors, but
well, no, but they did start to make like comic books and stuff, and like
yeah,
stories and
but
stuff.
yeah,
Like
and that's
in
the
between
fact that it
those
spawned
years.
that after just a movie is so cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that took years of building an audience before the movie came out.
Yeah, that's true.
Even like James Bond, that was a book beforehand, and like that's something
Yeah.
that people like will still go see the James Bond movies. But so I mean, that was just
All that to be said, this movie sucked.
it does suck. This was Lucas's first time directing a Star Wars movie since the original 1977 Star Wars. And he's a guy who had one good movie under his belt. I feel like he did it once. I've never seen THX 1138, but Star Wars. I love the first Star Wars. It's really great, and this one is just so. He let the movies got technically better as they went along in the original trilogy. I like the story and stuff of the first one, but like the movies were made better as they went along. As soon as he let it go into someone else's hands, a more competent director. So this one, you can just feel his fucking grubby little fingerprints all over it. It's just not. It's boring as hell.
Yeah, a lot of politics.
Yeah, just like why would you think that anyone? Why would you? Who wants to come back to the land of Star Wars to hear this dumb stuff?
Yeah.
It's just a weird choice to make. Like, why would you think that would be exciting for anyone? What possesses you to write that shit? I didn't mention, but the stars of this movie are Ewan McGregor, Liam Neeson, Natalie Portman, and Jake Lloyd. He played Little Annie.
Oh, yeah.
Gave the performance of a lifetime in that he quit acting pretty shortly after this movie. People gave him so much shit for his performance that he decided he did not want to be an actor anymore.
Well, I wouldn't say that that's his fault. I would say that that's the people who cast him.
Yeah, that's definitely
because he's
true.
also a child. You know what I mean?
It's
like
it's so crazy to me how often a movie, if there's like a child who's a major part of it, like you do a good job casting. There's so often where it's just like a kid is in the movie and you're like, this kid sucks, so now this movie sucks.
there's a lot of really good little kid actors, especially
Yeah.
at the time. I feel like
There were a lot. Maybe that they wanted to go with someone who wasn't as known. Like they didn't want it to be like, oh, we have Jonathan Lipnicki in there and everyone recognizes him from fucking Stuart Little or whatever. Came out in 1999. But maybe that was it. They're like, we wanted Lipnicki, but he was doing Stuart Little. But yeah, I don't know. And it's just, I'm also someone who I don't like prequels. So it's like, why is that your idea to be like, let's see the biggest bad guy in cinema. Let's see what he looked like as a dumb little kid. The only good part of it is, I mean, the pod racing scenes are exciting. But also, I have an issue.
That's definitely the best part of it.
Yeah, I have an issue with the fact that it's all desert too. I always feel like that's such a boring thing to do, to be like, oh, space, and we can travel through space and have lightsabers and light guns and stuff, and we're just being sand the whole time.
Well, and then they keep doing that.
Yeah, it's like you couldn't come up with a place with like an interesting terrain or something that seemed like, I don't know, alien to me. Something that seems foreign.
Yeah.
Instead
Besides the fact that there's aliens and hovering cars.
it's just like it's a desert, which we're very familiar. I mean, we live in California, so it's like they went to India, and then there's just a crazy looking dude saying, "Hey,
Yeah, that's exactly what
I'm
they
selling
did.
weird food."
Yeah.
See, and you're like, "Oh, that doesn't look like our food.
They're like,
Everything else is the same." Hey, that guy's food does look different, but the wood looks the same. He used to build the stand. Do they have trees there? Where are they getting the wood? Are they just normal trees? That also is something you see, like, when they do go to Endor and stuff in the original trilogy, and you're just like, it just looks like a normal forest. It's not like, and I get, they couldn't create a whole new forest, but you don't think, like, you wouldn't build, like, different weird trees? Their trees just happen to look the same as ours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, we live in California where the redwoods are.
Yeah.
We've been there. I've been there at least. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that is,
Like,
it's a very varied climate we have, so I can be
Yeah.
like, oh, it just looks like the desert and the redwoods. I've been to those things.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you don't live right here, it's pretty hard to do that. I
Yeah.
guess that's true. If you live in Nevada or something like that, you're like, I've never seen redwoods. Again, just, a bummer of a movie to watch. There's very little to, and I don't want to beat a dead horse and talk about how shitty this movie is. It's been, discussed to death, so it's not
Yeah.
even really worth bringing up. One thing I did want to point out, because of how funny I thought it was in the beginning of this movie when you're first introduced to Jar Jar Binks, everyone's favorite character. It's that there's a bunch of or whatever they're called at the time, but like the droids are rolling through in their tanks and smashing over a bunch of trees, and all the animals are running around. And you see Qui-Gon Jinn, first off, Jar Jar is just loping around the forest, like picking flowers or whatever, being dumb and silly. And then you see Qui-Gon running, literally with his hands up. He's like, "Ah!" And he's running, like flailing his arms like Kermit. And then I'm like, this guy's like a really like respectable Jedi, and he's just like, "Fuck!" Ah! And like, he's just running straight. And I'm like, go left or right? Why are you running directly away from this tank? Go that way. It's going in a straight fucking line, but he can't. His brain's not figuring out anything. And then he sees Jar Jar, and he's like, "You idiot! Do you want to die?" And they run into each other, and then they fall to the ground, and the tank just rolls right over him because it's hovering. Because everything hovers in their world. And I just was like, Qui-Gon, you've never considered the fact that nothing in your world touches the ground, and you're scared of the tank? You didn't just think, I can lay down, I can walk left or right? And you're telling Jar Jar he's the idiot? He's the one who saved your ass. You looked like such a fool running around. Ah, what the fuck am I going to do? I don't know. Lay the fuck down. Why didn't you think of that? You can't see? It's 6 feet off the ground? And then later in the movie, when they're getting chased by Darth Maul, Qui-Gon yells out, and he goes like, "Get down!" And then Anakin jumps to the ground, and Darth Maul flies over him. And I was like, that almost had to have been a callback. He should have been like, eh, and giving a thumbs up to Jar Jar. And he's like, yeah, I said taught him that one.
we figured that out together. And like,
Yeah,
nuts.
Like he should have had a moment like where there's a flashback. He looks to he's like, what are we gonna do? And then he's like, oh yeah, things don't touch the ground. Get down. He'll just fly right over you. Very silly. That just goes to show, like, you couldn't come up with a better fucking way to introduce this character. And again, if you're going to introduce a character and be like, look how dumb this guy is, don't make him save the day by just laying down, Make the other guy look dumber than him. Well, that movie, again, just incites anger. That's all it does.
Well, Liam Neeson took that role without even reading the script.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get the chance to be in Star Wars, you're going to take it, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what it was. But it was also done in like mostly green screens,
Oh, yeah.
which I think is like a foreign concept to actors at the time.
For sure, yeah, that's
Like
very common now.
not being able to interact with, or even like just interact with just each other, and not like anything else that's going on around you.
Yeah, it's got to be so weird and different, and you don't even get to just, you're not putting yourself
In the scene,
Yeah,
you're not putting yourself in the place.
It's a lot more work to do on the actor's job to have to be like
Yeah.
mentally going, okay, well, I'm in fucking space. It's not like there's just, like in the old days, you were in a space cantina because you were in a space cantina.
Yeah, because like they built sets and they actually like did stuff.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
like practical effects.
No,
They
and
didn't do that
for sure
this
makes
one.
the actors act better, I think. I think it's funny that Liam Neeson's in this movie because he feels like a contemporary actor, whereas everyone else, I mean, like Natalie Portman, but she's got makeup on throughout so much of this one specifically, the rest of the series, whatever. But
Yeah.
when you watch this one, it just, Ewan McGregor, he's a big actor, but he's not like, I just feel like Liam Neeson had a couple of years where it was just like, he was so famous for like a while as like an action star. And you're just like, oh yeah, he was Qui-Gon Jinn,
Yeah,
It's weird. You just watch that and you're like, oh yeah, years later he would go on to be more famous. I guess.
yeah, it's true. I think
Interesting.
what Taken is what really
Yeah.
made him famous.
Yeah, it's so funny when something like that happens, and then everyone they just have to start doing roles like that for the rest of the next
they did
7 years of their career or
Taken
whatever.
4.
Or just, then he did The Gray, and it was just like, okay, so now we have this guy who's like a 60-year-old action star. Like, it was like the one thing is, I'm going to save my daughter. And it's like, okay, well, that makes sense. But then now he's just going to fight wolves, and it's like, I don't know that I just automatically think he's tough. Like he was in that one movie. It was the story that they wrote. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and it's not like they cast Jason Statham. I think they wanted to cast someone who's like, ooh, Liam Neeson. He's not someone we've seen kick ass before. And then now we just have to watch him kick ass for the rest of life. Like he's just,
Until he's like 90.
and it's like I used to be in romantic comedies. You know, he's in like Love Actually and stuff. Like, and then he's just for some reason a badass when he's an old man. Let's look through some of the other. I wanted to read off the top 10 because this is a banger list of top 10 movies of the year. We got number 2, The Sixth Sense, followed by Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. That's the second one. Toy Story 2. Number 5 is The Matrix.
Hell yeah.
Tarzan, Big Daddy, The Mummy, Runaway Bride, and The Blair Witch Project.
So the Blair Witch Project actually like has the biggest spending to like grossing ratio out of any other movie.
Yeah, I believe. I mean, they barely did anything to make that movie.
Yeah, it cost them like $35,000 to make it.
So wild. And then then they they got $140 million off of it.
And then, but worldwide it was 245.
Damn. Yeah, this is just domestic. One of these, I did watch. I had never seen Runaway Bride, so I watched that today. It made me feel so 1999, like
I've never seen it.
The style of movie it is, and the way they used to make movies back then, the romantic comedies of the day. You know, it's so in that vein, and it was very fun. I also watched another movie today that was from 1999 that I hadn't seen, Run Lola Run. It's a cool movie, very interesting movie. I think it's German, I want to say. But then after I finished watching that one, I was like, huh, funny, I watched Runaway Bride and Run Lola Run. Running was all the rage in 90s cinema in 1999. A couple other good ones. Fight Club came out in 99. The Green Mile, South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and Pokemon's first movie, so multiple cartoons making the jump to big screen. Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo. Cruel Intentions, Lake Placid, Mystery Men, Dogma. Great year for comedies. You don't get big release comedies much anymore, especially ones that are just like, here's the idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the best. I love when you just have like a movie that's just like, well, they're, mystery men. Like that's, they're comic book guys, but they suck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Deuce Bigalow. It's like, yeah, he's a gigolo, but he's not good at it. He's a gigolo, but he sucks.
Yeah, let's see how it goes.
You just take a normal idea and you just go, yeah, but the guy's bad at doing it. And that was enough. That was enough for comedy. Big Daddy. Yeah, he's a new dad, but he sucks at it.
Well, they just don't throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks anymore.
Yeah, things are so, I don't know, it just feels like it's like the Apatow era of comedy where it was like, oh, it's so realistic and it's like, oh, this, these guys dealing with a real life problem and stuff. I loved those comedies. But like sort of
Superbad.
Yeah, Knocked Up, things like that. And it ushered in a real era of those types of movies plus all the ad-libbing they do. And so then that turns into just the worst style of comedy where it's like, oh, it smells like, an old man threw up on a dead dog's, that kind of dumb shit that's just like people trying to come up with riffs the whole movie. And it's like, you could write a joke before the actors get there, But like movies used to be like the situations they put them in were funny already, Yeah. You watch Austin Powers and it's like, if he comes up with a good joke, it's like extra because the movie had funny shit happening in it.
Yeah.
She reached into his butt and was pulling stuff out. It looked like on the shadows, it looked like her hand was in his ass, but it was in a bag. There you go.
Yeah.
Make me laugh with that. Could someone get the kid a Happy Meal? He said it in a funny way. That's all I needed. I don't need him to like come up with a riff. You know what I mean? Big Daddy. I think it's crazy that Fight Club came out this year and wasn't in the top 10 because it seems like a movie that is like, you think in 1999, it's like, oh, The Matrix, Fight Club.
Well, and especially because it was a book.
Yeah.
Or was it a book after?
No, I think it was first. Chuck Palahniuk, I want to say, is the guy's name.
Yeah, so it only makes sense that it was. It seemed like it would have been bigger.
It was in the, it was up there. It was a well received movie, but yeah, it wasn't in the top 10. And like I said, when you think of The Matrix and Fight Club, I mean, this was a great year for young men. To go to the movies. You just go like, I'm gonna go to the drive-in, and first I'm gonna watch The Matrix and Fight Club, and then I'm gonna switch over and watch Deuce Bigalow and South Park. Very fun time. There are a couple other movies that I have that I wanted to say when we talk about our drum roll. We're done with the movies. Unless you had other things you want to talk about the movies with.
Nope.
So we're going to move on to the last thing we have to do of the evening here. We're going to go ahead and jump back forth from 1999 into the present day. And we can each only take one thing with us. Everything else will cease to exist. All of your memories of 1999 won't be any longer. So you need this show, actually. We need to be able to tell. You're going to be like, what the fuck? Owen Hart died.
And this is all you get. This is all you get from now on.
So, yes. So these, the only thing you will remember are the things we choose here. And we're going to pick what was your favorite thing of the year. I have a couple of stuff that I didn't mention earlier that were just some of my favorite stuff that I would like to choose from. The video game Pokemon Snap. I used to love that game as a kid. You like take pictures of Pokemon. That's the whole premise of it. It was really fun.
I remember that game.
It's like you're on like an old Disney style dark ride almost. Like you're in like a little cart and you're just rolling through a level and you'd have to like there's no stopping. You just have to point and be like, oh, I got a good picture. It's right in frame. What a fun game that was. A unique idea, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
The Iron Giant and Galaxy Quest are two movies that came out this year that are
The Iron Giant.
two of my favorites. Iron Giant is wonderful. I just watched that again recently. And Galaxy Quest is one of my favorite movies ever. It's like it's in my top 10, I would say. I fucking love Galaxy Quest, which is funny because I've never really watched Star Trek. You know, and it's such a good spoof of that. But it's just, and that's the best thing about it is not even being a Trekkie or anything. That movie is so strong on its own that I love it so much. Also, I don't really even care for Tim Allen that much, but I love his performance in that movie. Like, it's just such an enjoyable movie to me. On TV, we got... Oh, also another movie I didn't mention was Wild Wild West by notorious slapper Will Smith.
You did mention that.
We already mentioned the song, but not the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I love the movie. Futurama came out in 1999. One of my favorite shows ever.
Yeah, amazing. What a good year for it to come out, too.
Yeah, I know. They really nailed that. Oh, the other video game that came out was Super Smash Brothers. I mean, that's held on for forever. They're still doing that. And the album Operation Doomsday by MF Doom is probably my favorite album that came out that year, one that I have it on vinyl and I spin it pretty frequently. But I'm going to have to say my favorite thing of 1999 that I'm going to keep with me is Futurama. That's just, one of my favorite shows ever. I mean, like a lot of this stuff is some of my favorite of any item that it's in, but Futurama holds a really big place in my heart. I used to fall asleep watching it all the time. Like I had seasons on DVD and would just watch it to go to bed and stuff. So I've seen certain seasons I could like quote you the commentary track on. Is how much I saw.
I mean, I love that show. It's a classic, especially compared to like all the other adult comedies that come out nowadays. Like,
yeah, even
and they've
like,
trying to reboot it, and it's just not the same.
Yeah, I know they brought it back on Hulu in recent times, and anytime when it went to after I went to Comedy Central, it never felt the same to me. Mm-hmm. Even the movies, I'm not a huge fan of, like which are just like the extended episodes, the Beast with a Billion Backs and the Bender's Big Score and stuff like that. They're fine, but it's like that type of thing where you can feel like the animation quality and the voice acting is different because they had time off, and when they come back, they're like, "Oh, how do we do this?"
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, again, especially the first few seasons are just peak TV, best like the best of any adult cartoon. King of the Hill's pretty up there too, but this is like the first couple seasons of Futurama I think are the best animated stuff for adults in my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you got?
My personal favorite thing that came out this year is SpongeBob.
That's a good choice.
Just a classic, and I watched it religiously as a kid.
It's so iconic.
Yeah, and the first time I heard Tiny Tim.
I have that's funny. Yeah, like at any time on like in The Conjuring when they're playing Tiny Tim to be like spooky, and I'm like, that's not spooky because it's SpongeBob. Like there's a whole generation of people who immediately think about SpongeBob running around putting ketchup and mustard on the patties,
like running on the tops of it.
That show it's crazy that it still is as big as it is. It's really cool that a show from our childhood is like the new Mickey Mouse. Everybody in the world knows what SpongeBob is. I mean, it's one of like the top. I mean, I get it's like Mickey Mouse #1, and then like could be a SpongeBob. I mean, unless you're gonna go like I don't know Popeye or Betty Boop or some ancient shit.
I don't think so
anymore.
Not anymore. Maybe when we were kids.
Yeah, exactly. Tom and Jerry. It's like no, it's got to be SpongeBob.
Yeah.
It's got to be #2. I feel like.
Yeah.
And there's not like another strong contender anymore. There used to be like Garfield. I don't know. No, it's got it. Charlie Brown. I think it's
like Elmo and stuff.
the only
like,
other ones are
not-
Homer Simpson and Peter Griffin, maybe, or Stewie.
Yeah.
Possibly. I feel like Stewie's somehow bigger than Peter. But so that already muddies the water. So you're like Homer Simpson is the only other one that's like possible.
But it's not really like a kid's thing though. Like,
No, but just still as far as like a cartoon that everyone knows. I mean, even Bart.
Bart.
But that's another one. Bart and Homer are pretty interchangeably well known. So it's
Yeah.
like SpongeBob is solidly the one everyone knows from his show.
Yeah.
And even though Mickey's got Goofy and Donald shit, it's like, everyone knows what Mickey is. So I think, SpongeBob is it's just crazy. There's that touchstone. Also, the other thing about SpongeBob for me personally that I like the choice is I've told you that I think I mentioned to you before, I'm doing this thing where anytime I have when something happens, you hear somebody say something and your brain automatically like has a line from a TV show or something that like you'll say or think of. And it occurred to me that I'm like, someone else wrote that thought for me. I'm having just an unoriginal thought that someone else already had and wrote down for a TV show. And then now I'm thinking that thing he thought. And it's super weird. Like the response to something is something someone else wrote, like I'm a character in a show. It's fucking weird phenomenon. So I started trying to keep track of how many I have. I mean, there's so many. It's shocking how many. And my brain does that pretty
I
quick.
have to stop myself from saying stuff because I'm
Yeah,
like,
right.
no one's gonna get that.
Yeah, so many of them are from SpongeBob though. Like, and there'll be just weird, just specific ass. Like one of my favorite ones is that every time I'm like, am I thinking I'm running late, or I know like, I have 20 minutes to do this thing, and I'm like, okay, I've been doing this for a minute now. Should I? And every time I think, do I dare look at the clock from the episode where he's supposed to be writing his essay?
Yeah.
And he looks up and it's been like a minute or something. But like, yeah, so it just pops into my head still to this day. 25 years later, I think of SpongeBob almost every fucking day. Just for some
Every
weird
time you
reason.
look at a clock.
And there's so many of them. I mean, I can't, because
Yeah.
they just happen naturally. That's why I had to write them down, because I'll be like, oh yeah, there's that one. No, I can't think of anything else. So I mean, oh, you have a job? I think of that all the time. Like, there's just so many things, man. So I definitely think that's a great choice to bring back. So people, you got well, 2 cartoons. That's it. It's like really great pieces of media though, SpongeBob and Futurama.
Well, and we were also 7.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking like for people nowadays this is all we saved. Sorry, folks. Fight Club out the window.
Well, I mean,
Matrix out the window. There's gonna be
Yeah.
so many dorm room walls that are gonna have like little spaces where you can see a poster used to be hanging up, but they all just vanished. It's like tomorrow morning it'd be like a dirt rectangle on the wall where Fight Club used to be.
Yeah, I'm not going to be there anymore.
But I guess it's just like now, for finally the first rule of Fight Club can be realized. No one's ever gonna talk
No
about
one's
it
ever
again
gonna talk about it.
because it doesn't exist anymore. I guess the book will exist. Just a bunch of fucking
I'm going to have to remake the
strong
movie.
nerds. The demographic for the Fight Club book is strong nerds, guys who read but then work out.
They lift the book.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. This was a really great first episode. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. We also want to give a big shout out to the Pirate Op podcast.
Yeah.
Check them out on social, on Instagram. They have been kind enough to donate us some studio space here, and just great thing they're doing. You want to talk a little bit about it? Mark's got more of the insight. Mark is a bartender, as I mentioned, and he's got some know-how about what they're doing over there.
Well, they bring in people from the restaurant and bar and hospitality industry, and they talk about their experiences, how they got into their positions. So if you are in the industry, if you're interested in any of that kind of topics, and
Or if you go to bars and just want to know how it works.
yeah, if you want the insides and the funny stories, and
If you're somebody who's listening to this, it seems like you probably like to know how things work and you like to get more information about things. It is anytime you get... I'm obviously doing all this research and shit. I'm like the type of person who likes to know how things work, and you figure something out and you go, oh, cool, that's neat, Or so you go like, oh, I never realized I didn't know how that worked, and now it's like nice to know how that happens. And the next time you're at a bar and you go, hey, you know how they do that? Well, I do.
Yeah.
I listen to Pirate Up Podcast.
yeah, you get a little inside perspective on how people live
And you
on the other side of the bar.
Yeah, you'll know how the current year works a little better.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys again so much for checking out the show. Keep listening. Give us any comments that you have, any concerns that you might have with how we're doing. If there's some stuff that we know we missed some things. I think we intentionally leave some stuff on the on the floor here, so if we need to come back around, that we can talk. We don't just sit here staring at each other and go, do you remember Star Wars? So there's other stuff, and, but if you have something you really feel like we need to talk about next time, let us know. Or something really, that's another thing. If you have some weird, obscure information that you think is super interesting that happened in 1999 that you don't think other people know about or will have easily found, let us know. I'd appreciate that. We are Wish We Were Then on socials, I imagine. We haven't set that up as of this recording, but we'll get around to it, I'm sure. Or not. Or maybe we're just so fucking cool we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, we'll just all word of mouth. Tell your friends.
Just word of mouth. Also, we want to probably try to put out the playlists that we listen to in advance, so that way you can check out that music as well. But we are going to go ahead and get back to our current day lives. Mark has a child he's got to take care of. Hasn't seen her in a little bit. He's been in 1999, so he's got some responsibilities. I got some dogs I should probably feed. So we're going to go ahead and figure out what year we're going back to. And, I get so itchy when I'm in current day. I don't know about you. It's like, it feels wrong.
Can't wait just to go back.
I know, every time that I look at the calendar and every time I look at that fucking calendar, you know what I'm thinking in my head? I know what you're thinking when you look at the calendar. I think we're both thinking the same thing, that we wish we were then.